We started out with our Constitution. Our forefathers, our founding fathers were all good people. They started out back in 1776 when we started this fine country. We had our Constitution. We had all of our articles. And it all started with we the people. And we had everything down the line that we needed, the preamble to the Constitution and all the good stuff in it and all of our Bill of Rights, and it was all for the people to maintain and keep the government under control. We had all of our rules and laws that kept the government in check, and we knew that we the people were the ones that were in control. But ever since we got kind of lazy and started not voting, and the government got so big that we really couldn't do anything about it. And now, since they've taken full control, we have no way to stop them. And they've started taking our rights away from us, the ones that our forefathers bled and died trying to save. And back then, it was considered treason. Who would have known? All of our Bill of Rights that we have, Article 1, freedom of speech, religious press, petitions and assembly, right to bear arms and a militia, quartering of soldiers. We didn't have to do that anymore. Warrants of search and seizure, Article 4. They got to have a reason to come into your house. No more debtor prisons, no more double jeopardy. Speedy trial with the witnesses and accused, and right to a fair jury. Bail and fines. All these things we were guaranteed. That way they wouldn't run over us, and that way we wouldn't have to worry about the government taking over. Where did we all go wrong? Now living up here in the northern land, I'm going to try to get down south to my friends. It's a 200-mile walk. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. But me being old, bad heart, and fat, plan on losing a lot of weight. But I can't wait to see my friends. They'll be down there around the Ohio River, what used to be southern Ohio. They're good people for sure. Maybe they could put me up for the winter before I head on over to Thumperland. I know they got good deer hunting down there still. I remember my friend, she told me that she could sit on her front porch and see the deer walk up through her yard and over the hill. Can you imagine having fresh meat on your table anytime you wanted it? Can you imagine walking out in your backyard and seeing rabbits and deer and turkey? There's almost an acre of land in her front yard that they can have for a garden. The land, the Lord said she could do whatever she wanted to with it as long as she lived there. He's a good man. He has helped her a lot. She has helped him. And her friend that lives down the road, one in each direction. They come to help her out, and she goes to help them out. It's what good friends are for. Very few people know that she's a prepper, though, and that she has food stores put back for her son, her mom, and they even have a house out front in the front yard for me. I'm hoping to stay the winter there before I go over to Thumperland. I'm going to take the railroad track that way, stay off the main roads. most of the factories in that area are shut down because of the inflation and having no electricity. So nowadays, instead of everybody riding on the rails like the hobos did, that you can walk the rails and stay mostly out of trouble. You can live under the railroad bridges just like the old trolls back in the fairy tale days. It keeps you out of sight and out of mind, and off the main roads where most of the congestion is, and most of where everybody is writing tickets for combustion vehicles now since they've been outlawed. But, well, then again, the electric cars don't work either ever since the power grid went down. And if you got a solar vehicle and you got a good sunny day, you can charge it up one day and probably get about 30 miles out of it the next day. And as long as it's not raining, you're doing pretty good. You can get 30 miles a day. Compared back to when I was driving truck, it wasn't legal back then, but I've done 1,100 miles in one day. Actually, that was a day and a half non-stop. Back then, interstate commerce was an ongoing thing, and it had to get there one way or the other. We even had team trucks sometime. But when you ain't doing the railroads, you can always take the gravel roads and the log roads and the backwoods through the hills, headed south, down toward my friend's house. That way we'll always be close and be around like-minded people. On my way to Thumperland, where the Bibles still are and where the flag still flies. Maybe one of these days the United States will get back together, start voting all the idiots out up there in D.C. and all the PETA party and the tree huggers. But until then, we've got to keep on keeping on and keep your heads down, people. If you're going to build a garden, the best thing to grow is mushrooms. You can do them underground. That way nobody will see you. If you got any plants or anything like that, keep them small, keep them hidden. That way you won't get a ticket for growing a garden. All the animals belong to the federal government now, so don't get caught hunting. But we got to feed our families somehow. And since all the water is federal property now, fishing's illegal too. But let's make sure that we keep our families fed, our heads down, our powder dry. And one of these days, when the United States becomes back to her full glory, we, the people of the United States, can live proud, live free,